Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode. And today we were talking just before the call, and I want to ask you a little bit, Michael Skye, about the moments of real beauty that you've experienced on 10 years of travel. We're quick to tell our stories of debauchery and adventure, and but I'm really interested in the moments that you were in awe for this experience for a moment. And I wanted to hear a little bit more about those moments. What comes to mind when I think of moments of beauty?
The first thing that comes to mind is a morning in Chiang Mai, Thailand. And, I'm waking early. I designed, at this point, it's like 2014. I've been 100% just gone traveling for 4 years. And I'm there writing my book. It's a small city. And, I live in this little hut that's like $100 a month. I wake up, like life is so simple, and I'm waking up early in the morning and, the sun's just coming up and I walk out, just in shorts and it's already warm. And in Thailand, there's temples everywhere, as you know. And, I'm walking down the street and at a certain time in the morning, like right around sunrise, you see the monks, and in Thailand they wear orange. Mm-hmm. There's like bright color orange and bare feet, and they're walking around with their bowls, and the Thai people are coming out and they're offering food to the monks, and they're bowing, and the monks are blessing them, and so there's all this beauty and like sense of sacredness. And I walk out to this square. It's not really a square, but there's this big, it's like a clock tower, but it's gold and it's in some wild Thai whatever. And I'm walking down the street and I turn around and I look up and I see the sun, and it's like orange through the gray mist, and I'm starting to like tear up right now, but like tears just started coming down my face, just like it was just a moment where like everything was so beautiful that it was overcome, and there were no thoughts. It wasn't like I'm thinking about something sad or happy or whatever. It was just like I was overcome by it, and that's the first moment I think of.
It's even nice to hear. Yeah, I remember also the same, like they get up early when I was in Chiang Mai and go ride up the mountain with my bike very early before traffic. And you see them come down. It's very ritualistic. It's very peaceful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's there was another moment where this was, I guess maybe just over a year ago. We were in Thailand. I think maybe you had left. Yeah, you left, I guess, earlier than I did. But I'd met this girl on a bus, and she was single mother, a young woman with a toddler. I'm just thinking, his name is First. I think she gave him like an English name, First, but they don't pronounce like the T at the end, so it's like First. Anyway, I'm driving on a moped out to see her, like on this. It's a long journey. I'm trying to look at the map and I'm trying to figure out where, and like everything looks the same, but it's rice paddies. And I just go, like, it's just like everything is so peaceful, and I'm getting lost and I can't find it. And I, yeah, I don't think I'm doing a good job of describing it, but, and I go out and like, I think I'm just going to visit her, but the communication's been crossed. Her English isn't that good. Um, and she packs up her toddler and her,
Right.
things for the night, and she comes with, and I'm like, oh, okay, and we load onto my moped.
I was still there. I remember this now.
We load. Well, I've told you this story before, but I'm not sure you were there.
I remember her and the toddler being there in the hotel.
Okay. um, and so she just puts him in between us, and we're on this scooter
As Thai people do.
going through traffic, and like I'm just having this little being right behind me, and he's kind of like wiggling, and I'm like just trying to drive really safe. And you got this beautiful girl on the back, and she's holding on, and yeah, but just that whole trip, going out there and then coming back, and just having like this feeling of this sacred
Yeah.
moment.
I think it's part of why it's so beautiful, is it's so hard to describe, It's like trying to take a picture of a landscape. It is never as good as when you experience it. I don't know why, but I want to share it. I had a moment of when I went to Japan in 2012, December, and into 2013. It was just after the first time I had fallen in love, and I had a heartbreak, and I went to, I don't know why, but I went to Japan, I guess, to be as far as possible. Oh no, I was in Hawaii, and that's why I went to Japan, but to be as far as possible from the heartbreak and be alone. And I wrote my first album there, and I remember going on to wow, I got many memories now. I remember going onto a train or a metro, and I'm sitting down, and this beautiful girl walks in, and I look at her, and I really liked her, and I said, like this, I moved over, sit next to me, and she came sit next to me, and I remember saying, oh, I think I said, but I'm not sure I spoke it, Samui desu ne, it's cold. And she looked at me, and she instantly took my hands. She took my hands and she warmed them. And she stayed with me the next 2 months, I believe. And I was sitting in Tokyo in a small, like this space here, a bed and a desk, and I was writing music with the guitar, and she would sit there against the wall on the floor, and I would play music, and then I would turn to her and like play it for her. She would say, "Ah, nice," or and she didn't speak English, and I didn't speak Japanese. I remember her first question to me was, "How long are you?" This is Google Translate. She wanted to say, "How long are you staying?" But that, to me, that whole period was so magical, because she like saved me in a time that like I most needed. Like I just remember waking up one morning, and she's just repairing my pants. And I remember waking up and seeing that, and it was just so overwhelming to me, like the evidence with which she did that, and it was just so magical in a way, like way more than I thought of. Like, oh, I want to meet someone, or it was like way beyond that. It's just such a magical moment,
Yeah. Yeah, I've had so many of those moments traveling. And before we started the recording here, we were talking about how you have those desires to, let's say, to go travel. And I remember having when I was first invited to Africa, and it was this unmistakable, incredible desire to go, but didn't fit into my life. It didn't make sense. It wasn't practical. It wasn't responsible. I could have easily said no to it because it just doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't make any sense to anyone else, you know. And I hung on to it. I said yes to it, and then I experienced magical, beautiful moments there.
Right.
That were unpredictable. They were moments of, like we were talking about, magic.
Yes.
It's like, it's not a result of like something I made happen.
Yes.
Whereas back, I think especially in the States, we have this kind of orientation, like if you want something good to happen,
Yes.
you make it happen. You plan, you be responsible, and then you buy it, or you do it, or you
study it, or
whatever.
Yes.
And it's a very left brain. You do this, then you do this, and you do this. And it was a month of magical experiences. And so you have these experiences that they're even more wondrous just because of that fact that it's almost like they're being given to you.
Yes.
Right?
It's a gift.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And then I'll just wrap it up. And then you go home, and now what you have is the longings for that and
yes,
for those
you
experiences.
experienced it.
Or what they would call in Brazilian Portuguese, saudades. So you have the tesão
right.
originally, which is like the unmistakable physical desire. Then you have the experience of beauty, magic, wonder, love, joy. You know, the things that are just like the when I got African welcomes so many times, you know, the tears come to your eyes, and it's just like it's more than you can imagine. It's an experience that you never thought would have. You know, as I'm describing it, I'm thinking of how people describe seeing their newborn child for the first time, or having their first child. It's like, wow. I mean, I've never had a child, but I realize I'm using words that people use when they describe that. And and to start paying attention to those three things and like letting them guide your life is...
Yes. Yeah, I say seeking to be seduced, and it's that, because I feel that it's your role, even though it's magic, your role is essential in it. My experience of it has been that I, as a human being, I have to struggle and go for what I want and try to design and do my part in all of this, in this cosmic equation, and then, and only then, I'll be granted those gifts. Like, the magic is not something I go for and then find it. It really is like, I go for what I want, for what I think I need, and I do my human dance, you know, and then life or God or whatever gives me what I need, not what I think I want. And it's that magic, and to me it's also like, it's the greatest good, you know, to be given that, you know, it's an act of grace. It's and that's why I think that I seek to be seduced, and to be seduced is the greatest gift, because it's something you're like, what, for me? It's like, what?
Yes.
That is to me the greatest thing, you know, but I have to go for it, like, or think what I...
Yeah, and it's, by the way, I see Maya's watching, if that's still her watching, from Thailand, who is very much she's just a sweetheart, just a beautiful woman who, you know, she serves children every day. And she was with Blake, a friend of mine, there in Thailand. And anyway, we're talking about that, and then Thailand, and then she shows up. But this was something on my journeys that just had me keep going, because I was experiencing a wondrous, magical life it was like life was working in a different way. My life before was so much about making things happen, and I made beautiful things happen, but like with a lot of intense work and energy and focus, discipline, productivity, efficiency, you know, and there's rewards that way too, you know, but this other way of living was beyond words, and I just had to keep going. should we go back to talk about some of those other magical moments?
Sure. I was almost gonna read, but I'm just trying to grapple with it, because that's, I think, essentially what I'm doing. Like in all the work I do is look for that, you know? And it seems in a way like what's magical right now, you know, loses some of its magic over time, and you got to find something different and something. But I sense I have to like keep looking, and that's my job. Like keep looking. What can I do? What can I create? How can I go forward? To then be faced all of a sudden with, oh, okay,
yes,
thank you. I remember, because we talked about honor also as the same kind of experience almost of beauty. And I think what combines it is like the sacredness of like something that's a grace that's granted for you.
Yes.
Like maybe you could talk a little bit about like what honor does in the work. But I remember a same moment of honor in Japan also, in the train also. And I was sitting, and an old couple comes in, and they put their bags up, you know, and we go a couple of stations, and then one station they both leave, an older couple, and I see what's happening. I see they're gonna lose their bags. I have my stuff there too, and I take the bags and I go outside. I give them to them like this, and I get back in the train as it closes, you know. And I felt so heroic. And then what happened is I still get chills. This is an older couple, like very graceful, and they just, I can't do it. And they just like, as the train leaves, they both like, they bow to me like this, you know, as I'm sitting in the train, like until I'm completely gone. And that moment was just so, it was mind blowing to me. It was like, it was too much.
Yeah.
It was just a simple bow, you know, a simple thank you.
Yeah.
But to come from these people who carried themselves with such dignity, and then being in Japan or whatever, it felt so overwhelming, man. I still think, oh, it was...
Yeah, I think, you know, with the honor work, we were on a call last night with your guys, going through another honor window training, I guess. And I was describing to them the part where you have an honoring conversation with someone who you've been judging. It's like you have plenty of reasons to write this person off. All the reasons in the world, from pain, past experience, feeling hurt by them. And it's an act of generosity. It's like, you don't need to do it, but it's like for no reason. And then you give it. And then what you feel as you give it is incredible. The honor that you feel by this act of like generosity that you don't need to give, and then also to receive that is
but that
similar.
That seems actually incredible, because it seems like you could be the creator of that magic.
Yes.
Like you have the power to do it.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I did, you know, when I did honor window with people before, I could instantly feel it. You go, whoa, you know.
Yes.
It's like, it's almost direct line with magic.
Yeah, I remember, that reminds me of this, I was in Austin, this is maybe 12 years ago, like 2008, and I was attending this money workshop. This guy was giving like a series of workshops on money, and there must have been like 200 people in the room, and he wasn't charging any money for his money workshops. He really wanted people to have some revelations around money.
Right.
And I realized, like, you know, some people had thanked him, and usually, you know, when people thank you or acknowledge you or something, it's people often do it in a way that strokes your ego, or it's not very deep, or and there's a way it can just be brushed off. And I realized, like, I could give this guy the gift of like a real honoring acknowledgement in front of everyone that could really touch his heart, or I could not. Like, it's my choice. He could have that experience right now, and the whole room could, or not. And so I stood up and I did it, and it was this really beautiful, touching moment. But it's all of this stuff, the honor and the magic of it all. It's very different from the part of my personality
Right.
that you're very familiar with, from just like
Right.
just crazy, confrontational, teasing,
Right.
boisterous, whatever. It's the complete other side, but it's
I think they work very, very, very well together. I I would say that, like, I use juxtaposition in this situation. It is because you're brazen and loud, and when you go there in that space, that it's so powerful, because it's like your yes, if it's great if you could say no, or your kindness is a lot more powerful if you're a wild man. And I think both are essential. But what's really striking to me is it's almost like you can create that magic. Yes. You can create it.
It's one of the things I realized when I was out traveling for the 10 years was honor is a gift. It may not sound that profound in the moment, but in a way, it's like I have my honor work, all this kind of stuff that I very intentionally like created and designed and all of this. But the feeling itself is a gift.
Yes.
It's something that you receive. It's something that you give. And like a revelation to me was like to come back and just let it go.
Right.
Like give it as a gift
right.
in the world, rather than have it be this thing that is so kind of left brain intentional.
Yes.
My work, my business, all of this.
I see strong parallels with the way I talk about seducing, and if being seduced is the greatest gift, to be able to give that to someone, that they feel seduced, it's like almost like they feel honored, they feel seduced, and by that I mean they feel felt, seen, and heard, like they feel, oh, this person sees me,
yes,
and they're allowed to dream, which means they can get caught up in something bigger, like like they see possibility of a different yes. world.
Yes.
I want to be part of that. That's the yes. feeling to me of like being seduced. And so what a seducer does is to give that gift to someone. And to me is the greatest gift, because I can do this, and better than before, and it's great. But the greatest feeling to me, is to be seduced. To be in a moment where it's given to you. Like, wow. I don't deserve this because whatever, yes. and it's happening.
Yes,
this magic is happening. It's beyond my control, and it's here. And thank you. In fact, wow! It is because we're so tapped into our creative power and desire and willing, and that moment of receiving
yes.
is so powerful.
Yes.
It's so wow. And to me, I don't know how you experience it, but to me, it's the greatest good when I see a landscape on my bike, or when I fall in love, or...
This reminds me of the Enneagram, which I think I remember you saying you don't know that much about, but there's these 9, you could say, types, and the 8, which is like what I would identify as, is very much this kind of forceful, dominating kind of energy, challenge, like challenging yourself, challenging other people, and all this. And that for each of the 9 types, like if you go towards a certain direction, that's what's really going to evolve you. And for 8, it's to go towards the 2, and the 2 is the giver.
Uh-huh.
The 2 is the person who shows up in service, And this is what I realized I was doing on my journey that was so incredible, because it was so counter to my whole personality. It was almost like I was living as a different person.
To be a giver, or to...
Well, both. I mean, the 2 type
right.
is the person who just, you can think maybe of these types, someone who's just, that's who they are, is a support. They're looking for people to give to, It's maybe like a grandmother at her most just like generous, in service.
Right, right.
And so as I started really paying attention to that and moving into that, my whole life became just magical.
Right. I want to read something. I wrote it on beauty, and I want to read it. I laughed there again, I noticed. I'll never do that again.
Yes, you will.
On beauty. Life is not about collecting toys. Life is about the people you meet and the memories you make. Life is about the beauty you have. The landscapes that take your breath away. The song that sings to you. The woman you fell in love with. The joy you share with others. The bliss on your own face. Magic may be rare, but beauty is everywhere. Believe in beauty, let it move you, and always move towards it.
Mm. You know, I was thinking about my family because they're having a family reunion next month, and many times when there's a lot of my family together, there's so many kids, and they're like me, the kids and the parent, my brothers and sisters, boisterous, rowdy, crazy, and the loudness of it. I love it for the first while, but after a little while, it's too much. You know, it's like, okay, and after a while, it doesn't occur as beautiful, and but there's moments I've had like with my family, and these are usually with less people. You know, like I think of over the last 10 years, there was a time I went to visit my sister, and we went on a road trip with her kids to Wyoming, and talk about beauty, like passing just through the mountains and these golden wheat fields and the endless blue sky, and you know, and her kids are so beautiful, like physically beautiful as well, you know, and sweet. You know, they've been homeschooled. It's a big family. They've got love for each other, and her kids are just so beautiful inside and out. And we're talking about beauty. I just remember that trip we went on together. But I'm thinking now, like, how could I guide if I go back for this reunion, which it seems like it's taking a lot of effort to make happen right now, how could I instead like maybe pay attention to the beauty, the magic, or wait for the desire? Like I don't need to force it to happen right now. You know? I know that's just a thought that's happening.
Well, that's a very managerial issue, like how much is too much, and it's not either or, you know. I really believe in the necessity of tapping into your creative role for magic even to be possible. And just what do, you know? You book the flights or not?
Well, what I learned was really that I wait for the desire.
Yes.
Wait for the thing to happen, and then you flow with it.
Right.
And that puts you on the path, you know, because there's a lot of times when I've tried to make things happen, and it's, you know, it doesn't end up like that. Even I experienced this with my work back when I used to call it a boot camp. You know, I was the boot camp leader. I was making miracles. Like I was really forcing people to have breakthroughs. And, you know, it was really like, and then I learned a way to facilitate the breakthroughs to happen, but it was really like I was more out of the way. I wasn't being the hero, but it was intentional. I was being in such a way that people could step forward and make and have things happen, and it was so much effortless. So much
a master of ceremony.
Yeah. You know, and as we talk about being allies and leading people, and you know, judgment, there's often, you know, judgment and forcing often go hand in hand. In fact, when I was a boot camp leader, and I would create a context for people to stand up and do something heroic, you know, and then they just wouldn't, and I just judging them, you know, they're weak, they're this, they're that, and almost as if like by that judgment, I'm going to make them,
Yeah.
get up. It's so funny to think about now, but yes, as we're talking about the challenges of even, being here, living together, or something like this, the times when I feel really inspired to contribute, to do something that you would otherwise have me do, like around the house or whatever, is like when I just see you doing it. Like you're just creating the beauty that you want,
Right.
with no sense of like that I should be doing it.
Yes.
And then I want to contribute to that. It's just.
Wow, I just had an insight. Oh, we're going off now in a way, but like really, that really combines to me our creative force and the surrender at the same time, which is to be a master of ceremony. I'm at the service of this thing, this cosmic thing happening, and I play my role in it, what's necessary to play, but not more than that. I'm not forging the path unless I can sense and feel that's needed from me.
Yes.
But it's like the idea of a master ceremony really, because it has contribution and it is completely at service, and then magic will be granted.
Yeah, I'm just curious about this as we are, you and I are creating some new businesses now, and I'm just wondering how we can bring this spirit of this to what we're creating.
Right.
Because there's also a sense like, well, we want to achieve our goals. We want to make some big things happen here. Like, what if we just really step back from that perspective?
Yes.
As like master of ceremony, pay attention to the desire, the flow, the beauty, all of this.
Well, this is the way I justify my laziness, is that I really sense like I'm a bit less than you. Like you have, when you create something, your work ethic is just, everything moves, and I have that way less. Like I see what we're creating and I really hold it as my priority, and I'm not gonna leave my nap for it,
Yeah.
Because then it's when I'm with the gods.
Yeah. Well, I told you about my buddy Keith. He was like 100% this, None of like the really work ethic or left brain or anything. Right. It was almost like too much, but things happen around him. Miracles happen around him.
I want to say though that because of your work ethic, because of that, things are changing for me. So, with what I was doing, it was not going to change.
Yeah. And
so, thank you, to have that next level of like, I'm carving my path,
Both are really powerful.
Yeah.
Both are really powerful. And I'm wondering how can we combine them? Because it's one thing as I go back to business that I don't want to lose is what I've learned and discovered from these 10 years of travel. Mm-hmm. That I think when I was doing the I Thrive work, I did lose it. Like there wasn't hardly any of that sense of magic and gifting and receiving. And it was, there was moments with John where we did the honor work together and some things like this. There were some moments, but for the vast majority of it was just like, plowing through all this shit I don't want to do. And the plowing is like what got us across the finish line. Right. You know what I mean? Like in the face of everything, here I go. Yeah, I'm really curious about that. Maybe we can explore that today. Yeah. I feel like, you brought up a great inquiry before this. We got onto this conversation today, which is talking about, beauty. You were asking me about those moments of beauty in my travels. And I think that's a great inquiry for some future conversations to explore more of those. Yes.
Beauty files. That's great.
Thank you, Hans.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.